The book of Lamentations is a raw poetic response to the destruction of Jerusalem in 586 BC. It's a written collection of laments, grief-filled with grief-filled poems uh, expressing the sorrow, repentance. Though heavy with emotion, it also offers glimpses of hope in God's unfailing mercy. Let's explore it in a relatable way. In the first chapter, we see the lonely city. Imagine Jerusalem as a widow mourning her loss now. That's the picture painted in this opening chapter. City is desolate, her people have been exiled, and no one comes to comfort her. Now, this city's former glory is gone, replaced by shame and sorrow. And also, basically, this teaches us a hard truth. Turning away from God has real consequences, but it also reminds us to bring our pain to Him. Even in our lowest moments, God hears us when we cry to Him. And now we see the Lord's anger depicted in a very different way. I mean, the severity of devastation. Let's dive deeper into this chapter. Jeremiah, likely the author, he describes how God's anger has brought judgment upon Jerusalem. It's not that God enjoys punishing his people, rather, it's the natural result of their persistent rebellion. What's striking here is the honesty. The poet, again, Jeremiah, the likely author, he doesn't sugarcoat his pain. Neither should we when we talk to God. He wants us to bring everything, our anger, our sorrow, confusion, to Him in prayer. Now, in the third chapter, uh, in the middle of all this despair, comes a glimmer of hope. Chapter 3 is the heart of the book, where Jeremiah shifts his focus from the city's ruin to God's character. He writes, because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, and for his compassions never fail. His steadfast love never fails. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Chapter 3, verses 22 23. And also, this reminds us that no matter how dark things get, God's mercy is never ending. His faithfulness gives us strength to face each day. It's a powerful encouragement to trust in God's goodness even when life feels overwhelming. Now we see the contrast of then and now. The fourth chapter, Jeremiah reflects on how things used to be in Jerusalem compared to the previous devastation. City was full of life, its people prosperous. Now even the children are starving, and the once proud leaders are brought low. This chapter is a sobering reminder of how sin can bring destruction, but it also calls us to gratitude. When life is good, let's not take God's blessings for granted. And when we are struggling, let's remember that God can restore what's been lost. Now, fifth chapter is a prayer for restoration. It's a heartfelt prayer. Jeremiah pleads with God to remember his people and restore them. He acknowledges their sins but appeals to God's mercies. Restore us to yourself, Lord, that we may return. Renew our days as of old. Such a powerful, beautiful prayer. Renew our days as of old. It means to say, restore us to yourself, when not just to prosperity, but to yourself, Lord. automatically prosper things will happen. Just like if we see God and His goodness, His righteousness first in our lives, His kingdom and His beauty first in our lives, all these things will be added. Kapada, makan, roti, all the prosperity. So that's what we need to keep in our minds. So this closing prayer shows us the power of repentance. No matter how far we have fallen, we can always turn back to God. He is ready to forgive and restore when we come to Him with humble hearts. Now, Lamentations is a very difficult but deeply human heart is portrayed when one person goes through the despair. It teaches us that it's okay to grieve, to lament, and to wrestle with hard emotions. But it also reminds us that God's love and faithfulness, they never fail. Even in the darkest times, we can cling to the hope that He is with us and He will ultimately bring that restoration and that renewal. If you are going through a season of pain, Lamentations is a powerful guide. It encourages us to bring our brokenness to God, trusting that He can turn mourning into joy and ashes into beauty. God bless you.